Welcome into the DNVR Avalanche Podcast presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Use code DNVR when you sign up for a new account to get amazing odds boosts every single day. Rudo, AJ, coming to you live as the Avs are off today. Did take place a full practice for them, though. A number of different updates for Colorado there. EJ and Darren Helm, both participants, full practice with the team. Not too surprising on the other side. No Evan Rodrigues, no Cale Makar at practice. Makar might be good to go tomorrow. Maybe not. Maybe just a maintenance day. Not sure. Erod, that seems a whole lot less likely for at this point. We'll get you updates on some of those injuries more as they come through with Megan down at the rink talking to Bednar here shortly. For the guys that are coming back, let me ask you this question first, AJ. Who's more important to get back for the Avs, EJ or Helm?
EJ.
Okay.
Ooh, in light of the Erod injury,
Yeah, it changes the math a little bit, doesn't it?
maybe Helm.
I think it was pretty clear cut EJ before that, for sure.
Yeah.
Your bottom pairing was Curtis McDermott and Brad Hunt last night, and while that pairing worked great, long term, that's not really a solution for the playoffs.
Worked great against Chicago.
You won't be seeing Chicago in the playoffs, so
Yeah.
got to do a little bit of math there. Uh, I'm, you know what? Actually, I'm not 100% sure on your answer to this one. Do you sit Brad Hunt or do you sit McDermott for EJ?
Uh, Brad Hunt.
Yeah, you're still sticking with Brad Hunt on that one.
hmm
Okay.
I will say, right after that save that Georgiev made last night on Athena
Mhm.
did you see who broke down on that coverage?
Was it Brad Hunt?
It was McDermott,
Well,
and it was bad. Like
yeah.
he picked him up, like visually, and then he tried to turn around to try and skate with them, and he stumbled and completely lost it. And it was just like,
Oh no.
but whatever. I mean, you know what you're getting with both guys at this point. And for me, that like little drip of potential offense from Brad Hunt is, I guess, for me, just not worth what he gives you, what he gives up defensively.
So I'm fine with that mechanically. My question is, what does EJ actually improve directly for the Colorado Avalanche when he returns to the lineup? Because we've seen Avs PK has been pretty darn good right now. Um, I don't know how much EJ really makes them better over this certain stretch. I get over a long run, that's a little bit different. But where does EJ drop in and immediately make them better?
Well, I think where you look at the current defense, the one thing that you really don't have much of is physicality.
Sure. No
Even
Manson too, yeah.
Jack Johnson and with Curtis McDermott in there, you at least have like the concept of it.
The threat of it potentially,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. But with EJ, you have a guy that creates. If you actually go through his underlying numbers this year, he did a pretty decent job generating offensive chances, and did a pretty terrible job at converting those chances into points. So,
Yeah.
but also like EJ has also been. Here, I'll move out of the corner so you can put the cool logo up. Uh, EJ also was playing all of his games where the Avs were struggling to generate offense, and now that their offense has kind of settled into a rhythm, and you know the big thing was that they got, for me, it's not even so much their forward core, it's their defense is healthy. With those four guys, with Makar, with Taves, with Byram, with Gerard, if all those guys are healthy, Erik Johnson just makes them a little bit better in all of the ways. He brings that physicality, he brings that size, he brings shot blocking, he brings that kind of veteran steady presence. He brings like a solid puck moving presence on a bottom pairing. Like it's really like we look at Erik Johnson now and we're like, wow, he's really lost a lot of mobility, and we view him relative to the guy that we knew long ago, and we see kind of a compromised version of him. But if you go around and you look at third pairings all across the league, and if this is assuming he's going to be on a third pairing, if he's on your third pairing and he's next to one of not Josh Manson, please, one of Bowen Byram or Sam Girard,
Someone who moves pucks well. Yeah.
your third pairing is really, really, really good. And
Yeah.
that's obviously the kind of like that's the Avs roster working as intended, as they have built it, as we have not seen it this year. So
Yeah.
where EJ comes in, like it's not it for me. It is not an unimportant injury. Uh,
It's much more about raising the floor than the ceiling, right? When it comes to
exactly.
EJ getting back in.
Well, and when we've talked this year, Colorado's high end maybe hasn't been quite as high end as it was last year. But when the Avs are on their A game, they blow teams out, just like they did last season. But when they're on their C game, they get bodied a lot easier than they did last year. And when you talk about raising the floor, that's what you're trying to limit. You're trying to say, hey, if our star guys are not going to play very well in this game, this isn't going to go very well. He has a higher level of bad game than Brad Hunt and Curtis McDermott and Jack Johnson. All three of
Sure.
those guys. Like, pick one, and Erik Johnson is better than them.
Yep. I don't think that's particularly up for debate for sure. Um, so I am curious to see. Look, we are in the crunch time of the season. Can EJ find any of that level of offense that he used to have?
No.
You're just living without it.
Yeah, I'm not asking for it, man. If it
Yeah,
happens, great. Like, you'll obviously take that. You'll love that.
of
It's the
course,
same
of
as
course.
when, you know, Josh Manson was on something like a 37-point pace or something at one point this year. Like, he has been rock solid in terms of giving you some of that production, but not at a sacrifice of what he actually is there to do. It's just in addition to. And with EJ, you're just like, hey, look, if I'm not going to get very many points out of EJ, um, that's fine because everything else that I'm getting is still better than what I'm getting with Jack Johnson, for
Yep,
example.
I
And
agree.
I don't, for the record, once again, just like last year, I don't really have a problem with Jack Johnson. I think he has
Yeah,
been completely fine in the role he's been in.
he's giving you exactly what you would expect out of what is with a healthy roster a number 7. So hard to complain about that for sure. It we do have to move back to the forward core though. Uh, Darren Helm jumping in, it does help. If you have something specific on him, you can mention it. I think we've kind of already talked about him quite a bit.
Yeah.
Uh, eh, Getting what you and I maybe wanted in the worst way possible with Alex Newhook getting reps on the second line today at practice. Obviously, don't love the Erod injury, but
Yeah. That's not how you want to get there.
for sure. Is this lineup capable of just smoothing the icing over here? Can they continue trucking the way they have without Evan Rodrigues in the top 6?
I think with Newhook, the answer is yes, but you
Okay.
would feel so much better about with Newhook and then Darren Helm on your fourth line replacing him. You would feel a lot better about the overall constitution of your roster. Like,
Yeah.
it, because I think Newhook can replace kind of the play style, the energy, the skating, the speed, the things that Erod has been doing well. I think he can do it. Can he keep up with the production? That's like the biggest question. He also has to stop taking penalties, to be honest with you.
He's
Um,
taking a few too many for
he's
sure.
been a little too penalty prone this season. So he's got to not do that. And then if you can get Darren Helm back into your fourth line, then you feel like, hey, you feel pretty good about that.
Yep. It, it'll be interesting to see.
I mean,
Yeah,
you're talking about
obviously,
you're going from like it. It's weird because we've talked a lot over the last few weeks about how Dennis Malgin and Alex Newhook both are guys who are kind of miscast a little bit in bottom six roles,
and
just
yet
given how
finding
they
ways
play
to
the game.
produce anyway. Yeah,
And now they're both in your top six, and like you're not happy about it because that Lehkonen and Rodrigues going out is like that's bad.
yep.
And we don't know the extent of the Rodrigues injury. We don't. I mean, for all we know, the guy can play tomorrow. It
Uh,
doesn't. It sure doesn't look like it.
if he
But
plays tomorrow, I'm assuming we'll find out in the interview in a couple minutes here, but not
right,
expecting that answer. Yeah.
yeah, definitely not like planning for that. But it's it's definitely like an interesting, like we're gonna get to see those guys next to skill players where we've said, hey, like we want to see this. Morgan looks like he's gonna play next to the top guys. Newhook's gonna play next to Comfer and Nuke. Cool.
It
You leave that third
obvious.
line alone. That line is working.
You're
It
not.
is
Yeah,
good.
you're
You're
not
happy.
touching Lars Eller right now for sure.
Yeah, you're leaving that trio B, and then your fourth line. Alex Galchenyuk had a great game last night. We didn't really talk about it much in the post game, I don't believe, but Alex Galchenyuk was really, really good last night.
He was. Brought that offense. Didn't finish one, but had
Yeah,
multiple very good
he had
chances.
8 shot attempts, 5 on goal, and at least 2 of them were really good chances. And Matt Nieto was really good last night. So if you get Darren Helm back just in time, like you can pretty easily feel like we could survive this.
Yeah.
Like
It,
we could survive this. And then you do look at it where you're like, okay, if you keep winning games with this lineup and you are able to get a little bit of health down the street,
right. How
Rodriguez comes
good do
back,
you
Lehkonen
feel
comes
when
back,
those
like
guys get healthy? Yeah.
right.
You definitely have some positives there. And again, option A1 here is Erod gets healthy as soon as possible. But
Yep.
maybe not the worst look in the world to give Newhook 5 to 10 games up on this second line. See if he
Yeah.
can find something there.
Let's see. He's gonna Pittsburgh will be its own kind of challenge.
Yeah.
A desperate hockey team, but one that's on a losing streak right now, and whose playoff chances look like they're actively slipping away.
Yep.
Like they're kind of down bad right now. You don't want to be their launch pad back to living life large. But we'll see what we'll see how it goes. And
Good way to put it.
but with New Hook, like yeah, you will get him an opportunity in your top six where we've talked about it. You didn't want it to happen like this. You wanted it to be given. But
Definitely.
you wanted it to be like a thing that was earned, I'm saying, where he just played his way into it and they were like, we've got to do this. But
Yep.
if he goes up there and he has a really productive couple of weeks there, it could
Well,
create a pretty
you
interesting
have a
conversation.
conversation. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it creates an interesting conversation about maybe you find a spot for him. The same thing that we're talking about with Dennis Malgin right now. If Dennis Malgin keeps producing in your top six, you're not in a hurry to take him out of that.
Yep. Uh, we have a comment from A Wolf here who says, obviously, I want Galchenyuk to succeed here, but can he be serviceable if he sticks around for a while? That is the question.
Yeah, that's the how much money he making this year?
It's basically league minimum, right?
750. That's a
Yeah.
$750,000 question, right?
Not quite the $1 million question, but close. It's, I mean, if you're asking me personally, there are too many shortcomings on the defensive side for him to overcome all of them. Can he get it to a passable level? Maybe. Not going to doubt the guy to figure it out a little bit.
Yeah.
Come playoff round one, assuming health, I just don't see how you have that guy in your lineup. But it's tough.
So, the Bednar update. starts
Yep.
that Evan Rodrigues is in protocol.
Even though they said it wasn't a concussion yesterday, but
Well, they said
okay,
he wasn't in protocol last night. He's in protocol today.
sure.
It's so frustrating.
Yep.
It's so frustrating because it's a headshot on a play that
Yep.
was not penalized, and there's no conversation about today.
Yep.
I'm tired of guys getting hit in the head in the
With
NHL.
no
Just
no
personally.
consequences at all. In fact, at the end of that shift, it was Erod who took a penalty.
Yeah. Erod gets called for a hip check after getting hit in the head. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's a mess. We've talked about it before. We want significantly harsher penalties for headshots in the
Yep.
NHL, but
If you're serious about removing them, then remove them.
you could do it overnight if you decided you wanted them to never happen again, or never. It'd be extremely rare for them to happen if you started punishing them with 5+ game suspensions. Put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
They'd still happen occasionally. There would be you'd see just so much less of them, though. There'd be so much more care taken by hitters to not do these things. Um, it's yeah, I don't know.
It's
It's tough.
disappointing, man. Whole thing is disappointing and frustrating. So it sucks because that puts you with the big question mark of a timeline.
Yep.
You were hoping it was like a shoulder injury.
Yeah. With concussions, he could be good to go Friday against Arizona, or we could not see him for the rest of the season. Just no idea.
Really sucks.
It's there's just been so many of them this year for Colorado too.
Yeah.
And
It's been everything this year, man.
yep, the the numbers just keep piling up, uh, which in the immediate does lead into the Galchenyuk conversation. Comment from Teddy Bear here, who says, "Would a line with Chucky, Helm, and Nieto find some sort of balance of offense and defense? Could you see that succeeding in any way?"
It, God, that's really hard because you're talking like the reality here with Alex Galchenyuk is the same as it has always been since he signed the PTO with the Avs last summer.
Yep.
The reality is that he is a guy who has some real talent with the puck,
Yep.
some real shooting talent, some playmaking, but has been a brutally bad defensive player in his career. Did 33 AHL games with the Eagles fix all of that?
No. I
It's
mean,
really, 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 really tough. So you're talking about a tiger trying to change the stripes, right? Leopard changing his spots, whatever that saying is. Uh, it's a really tough task for him. So they just don't. I'm willing to give it a go. And a game like last night, Alex Galchenyuk absolutely deserves.
credit for, but it's also
Yeah,
Chicago.
yeah, and it's like you want to see what he does.
Yeah,
You want to
for
see
sure.
how he looks. You want to see. I mean, hey, use this as an opportunity because if Alex Galchenyuk can be a decent bottom six guy for you, like the reality is that next year you need cheap guys that can play for you, that can produce, that can handle, that can play in your system, that can do whatever. And this is a free audition for him.
So
This is an opportunity for him to audition for the Avs, for other NHL teams. This could be make or break career time for Alex
it
Galchenyuk.
I agree with that. The one thing I would say to temper expectations, especially about a potential long-term role for him, it's really, really hard to be a bottom six player in the NHL and not play any special teams. And I think you're closer to having the conversation about Galchenyuk playing on PP2 than you are on the penalty kill.
Easily. And when you're healthy, you don't need more PK guys. You
You
don't
don't
need
really
him
need
doing
more
that.
PP guys either.
I mean, he's you could set him up for a second power play unit.
You could if you wanted to work around it that way,
Like if
but
you have all of your forward core healthy,
it's just very hard to
you could.
answer that question until the off season and we see who stays and who goes with Colorado, what decisions they decide to make.
Right, but this is where Galchenyuk is right now is in the lineup,
Sure.
and now it doesn't look like he's going to be leaving it right
At
away.
least not anytime soon. Yeah.
So this is his audition. He gets a chance during the most important time of the year
Yep.
to prove that he is an NHL caliber guy again.
Yep. Um, do want to talk about that time of the year here in a little bit, but in the immediate, we are brought to you by the amazing people over at DraftKings Sportsbook. Use code TNVR when you sign up for a new account to get amazing odds boosts every single day with DraftKings. Right now, when you sign up, you bet $5, you get $200 in free bets with that DNVR code. So make sure you're jumping on it and getting in there to just have some money to mess around with on DraftKings, whether it's betting on Nico to score every single night so you can get to not just 50, but maybe 55. Who's to say? See how high Miko can go. Maybe McKinnon to get to 100 points on that side of the Avs. If not betting on the Avs is your thing, you can bet on the Nuggets. You can bet on all of the drafts coming up, whether it be the NFL, the NHL. You can even bet on the NBA draft. Would not bet on the Rapids right now, but you can bet against the Rapids and make a lot of money right now if soccer is more your thing. Plenty of options over at DraftKings to go in and make yourself a good chunk of change. So go check them out. Use the DNVR code. You must be 21 or older, Colorado only. Other terms, restrictions, and conditions apply. You can see the show notes down below for details. If you have a gambling problem, call 1 800 522 4700. And all of that is void in Ohio. Uh, also brought to you by the amazing people over at Illegal Pete's. If you haven't been down there, I got it on record that the entire DNVR crew got Illegal Pete's delivered to the bar today. So
Hmm.
they're eating good for lunch, having the good stuff. I wish I could go get some and have a nice burrito, but not today, unfortunately. I'll have to go get it next time I'm down there. There's a location just a couple of blocks from the bar. 10 different locations here in Colorado in total. They have happy hour from 3 to 6 p.m. every day. And for all of March, they are donating a portion of the proceeds every single time any vodka is purchased at one of their stores. So go over there, go to Legal Pete's, have a good time, get yourself some vodka, go help out Colorado children by getting your drink on with Illegal Pete's, and then come to the bar afterward to have a good time with us, watch the Mavs hockey. You know how it works. There's also a location in Arizona, by the way. So no excuses. If you're in Arizona, you should be going to Illegal Pete's too. Second period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. We do have a $5 super chat up here from Pin King, who says thoughts on the SDHL skate blade incident. I did not know that this was a thing until you commented it, so I looked it up. Obviously, always terrifying when someone's neck gets cut by a skate blade. Um, Never a fun thing. It sounds like she's relatively stable and okay at the hospital, so that's good news. Unfortunately,
Oh.
when you play a game that is requires you to stand on knives, things happen sometimes. Um,
Well, and I mean, we always talk about like we're always surprised things like this don't happen a little more
More
often.
often, for sure.
What was it? There was a game last week that the Avs were in.
Yeah, where's was well, I forget who it was, but yeah, someone nearly had themselves cut.
Yeah, and got like almost like kicked in the face while they were
Yep.
like falling.
Yeah, I think it was Erod's skate, but I forget who it
Yeah,
was that nearly took it. Um, anyway, yeah, that stuff's always super scary, and unfortunately, unlike headshots, something that I just don't really know how you take it out of the sport. I guess okay. So in Canadian juniors, they
that was
force
it.
them to wear the collar
Mo
guard.
Sider.
Yeah, it was cider. You're right. Um, do you think there would be any movement for that in the NHL to wear the neck guard that the kids wear?
I mean, I think there should be.
Sure. It's just a super easy, tiny little piece that takes 2 seconds to put on that would prevent that, basically. So
I mean, uh, they started making those skate guards for guys when they block shots
Yeah,
to
yeah,
try and help prevent broken feet. And like players hated them.
yeah.
And then they adjusted.
One, they adjusted. Two, it's a little bit of different territory. Like you would see those scapegoats regularly, like explode off of their skates when they blocked a shot with them. That wouldn't really happen with the neck guard thing, right? But
Yeah.
so
You know,
of course,
players push back against everything.
yeah, players also didn't want to wear helmets or have visors on their helmets.
Yeah.
I mean,
Like
things that are now pretty well accepted as standard safety stuff.
yeah, like I do you remember the visor thing?
Yeah.
That like it was like a testament to like your manhood.
So I remember this mic'd up of Joe Thornton after it'd been a couple of years, and he takes a puck to the face, goes back down the tunnel. He comes back out and is like, it's everything's super blurry. I can't see anything. But he keeps playing, and he's like, yeah, these stupid visor kids said they don't know. And it's like, you
Yeah.
literally can't see right now. Like,
Right.
I don't understand it. But, some of that mentality is definitely part of what it takes to be an elite athlete, I guess. Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen the incident. Honestly, I'm glad I haven't.
Yeah. It's always scary stuff. The other news of the day, which we're the wrong two people ask this
Dude,
question again.
I don't care about this at all.
Yeah, when Jesse's around, maybe, or we'll have Blaze on or something.
Yeah.
But Fanatics going to become the official jersey maker of the NHL. AJ and I just aren't really jersey people. It's not going to change our lives very much.
I don't buy jerseys, so I have no thoughts on this. I have no thoughts on this at all. Everybody seems mad about it, and that would matter a lot more to me if people weren't mad about pretty much everything all the time.
I will
Every
say
major change.
I know historically Fanatics have made pretty low quality stuff.
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and give them the benefit of the doubt that the jerseys they make for the players on the ice will be fine quality. We'll see what they make for the fans.
Yeah. This is the thing. The people that follow this type of stuff are really upset today.
Yep. But we're just not those people.
Yeah, that's straight up. Like we're two dudes that just don't care about that stuff, and so the story doesn't mean a lot to us. It's not anything deeper than that for us. If you guys are if you guys are telling us that they're bad, I'm totally willing to believe you and just be like, okay, that sucks then. It's a bummer the NHL decided to do that.
I on a personal level, excuse me, I just don't care. Just do not care. I do think it's crazy that the NHL signed a 10-year deal.
That is crazy to me. Yes.
The financial side of it might make sense, but we've seen pretty regularly the NHL sign these really long deals with things outside of the actual hockey being played and then regret it. So,
the last jersey that I bought was 2014, 2013.
I think which year was the last year of the Uniprints with the C on the shoulder?
Dude, I don't know.
Like 20 was that 2015? 20 was it the terrible year? Maybe.
This is stuff that I just don't.
Yeah, it's been well over half a decade since I bought a jersey, so.
Yeah. So I've purchased jerseys in my life, but it's been a long time.
Yeah.
I didn't make enough money for that shit.
Is what it is. AJ, you posted a little graphic on Twitter. I found it super interesting. Some of the best points percentages by team around the league since February 1st, since crunch time, if you want to call it that, the playoff push, as it were. And look, teams were a little bit all over the place. You had some of the expected teams up at the top, like a Boston. You also have an LA team throwing up an 800 points percentage
Hmm.
down in the Pacific Division. I mean, first of all, we can start there. I know you have not been a huge believer in LA.
No, but they're playing great hockey right now, and like it's not even just like if you just look at their results, you look at how they're winning games. They're doing it comfortably,
Yeah,
night in and night out. Their scoring has exploded, and the Corpusalo deal has worked.
they've gotten some consistency back there. Sometimes you get them right.
Yeah,
Uh,
and they are. I mean, you look at what has it gotten them, right? Um, because right now they are tied with Vegas for first in the West.
yep, it's when you look at the standings, for as well as the Kings have played, 8-0-2 in their last 10. Uh, Vegas is 8-2, so they picked up 2 points in their
Yeah,
last 10 games on
yeah.
Vegas. It's
Well, go. That's a good example of what we've talked about a lot in the past of how it's hard to chase down good teams.
yep,
But when you're talking about like the bottom of the standings and like that kind of like that middle area,
the
it
Calgarys of
allows
the
there's
world. Yeah,
yeah, there's a lot of moving and shaking that can happen across 10, 15, 20 games. Because the teams get hot, teams go through stretches. We always talk about teams like they like in absolutes,
yeah,
the oh, they've got this, they're gonna be fine, they're gonna make it, they're gonna whatever. Like
but you just never know for sure.
like
Yeah,
Winnipeg has 11 games left, has a 4-point lead on Calgary, and I have no confidence in either of those teams.
to get anything done. Yeah,
Yeah, the last 10, 4-4-2 for Calgary, 4-5-1 for Winnipeg. Nashville is 5 points back with a bunch of games in hand. They're 5-3-2. So it's like none of those teams
are going out and getting it right now. Yeah,
are yeah, none of those teams are doing it.
it's I do find it very interesting. Honestly, there are not, even you look at the top of the East, and there are not that many teams doing what the top of the West is doing. You have a bunch of teams that are going 7 or 8 wins plus some OT stuff in there. So
Yeah, I mean,
the
you look at the top 6 teams in the West right now, and
yep,
every single one of them in the last 10 games has won at least 7 games.
yep, it's it, for the division that has been the weaker division this entire season. It's claw tooth and nail time for the Western Conference at this point. Rather,
Yeah. And the Avs have a game in hand on both Dallas and Minnesota and are tied with the Wild and are 1 point back of the
and
Stars.
and both of those teams do play
Yep.
tonight. So
So the Avs will go back to 2 games in hand by the end of the night and could be in the exact same position standings wise. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it plays out, but
yeah,
they could be playing for the division lead tomorrow night when Pittsburgh gets here.
it's definitely possible. On that note, we are brought to you by Breckenridge Brewery, the official beer of DNVR. You can crack yourself open an Avalanche Amber Ale the next time the Avs play. I'm a huge fan of it. It's my personal favorite beer. But if that's not for you, they've got all sorts of good beers. Look, it's the springtime. Might be starting to drift into strawberry sky territory. Starting to make a little more sense as a nice light beer. That's not your thing. If you're still trying to get through the cold days, you can get yourself a vanilla porter. Dozens of other flavors for you from Breckenridge Brewery, and they're all just bangers. They have a flavor for everyone. So go check them out. Go to breckbrew.com, use their Breck beer locator online to find it near you. They are in liquor stores in all 50 United States. So go check them out. And then if you have been injured in a car accident or a rideshare incident or at work or at home because someone forgot to shovel their driveways, uh, you, and you're not at fault,
Dude,
to be clear.
you're. I love that you're going to war with your neighbor in the most passive aggressive way imaginable.
And on a show like he does not watch.
Yeah,
We'll never
exactly.
get into
You're airing your grievances in a space that person will never come across.
But you can press 2 for a
Uh,
while. Call 222-2222 today to get Bacchus and Shanker on the line. You can get a free consultation. If they think you have a case, they will take it on for completely free. You pay nothing until you win your case here. So if you're injured and you deserve something, make sure you get a hold of these guys. They've been doing it for 25 years in Colorado. They've won over $1 billion for their clients. It's automatic for these guys at this point. So go check them out. You can go to coloradolaw.net or push the 2 button for a while to get a hold of Bacchus and Shanker and get what you deserve. Lastly, we're brought to you by Game Time. If there's a link down in the description, which you can click, it's been used by over 15 million people to get their tickets. You can get prices up to 60% off. So it's a fantastic deal no matter where you look, whether it's at Ball Arena or if you're not from Colorado, you can get your local arena tickets or non-local. Maybe you're planning a trip somewhere, you can get your tickets through Game Time. No matter what sport, no matter where it is, they've got you covered with fantastic deals. And they even have all the amenities. You can see where your seats are. You can make sure you have a good view of the playing surface. So go check them out. Use the link down in the description. That helps us out a little bit with Game Time. Third period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. So let me ask you this. With a
do
team
it.
like LA, with the teams that are playing very, very well right now, that also
Mhm.
includes pretty much all of the top of the Pacific, Edmonton, Vegas. Is there any concern that they're peaking too early, or is this peaking at just the right time?
Who? Any
Say
of
LA.
them?
Yeah, any of them's
Um,
fine.
no, not really. I think this is just teams getting geared up for the postseason, and
Okay.
what's unique about this year is that if you take a day off, if you get beat by somebody, especially because the end of the year largely features intra-conference play.
Yeah.
It's West on West for the most part to end the season, East on East.
Mhm.
Um, if you get beat, if you have a 2-game losing streak, LA could go from being tied with Vegas at the top atop the
Yep.
Pacific Division to
To third place in that division. Yeah.
yeah, they go from hey we're tied for the conference lead right now. We could be the 1 seed throughout the entire postseason to we are now not even hosting our first round series.
Yep.
Seattle has fallen far enough back that the threat of falling into that wild card spot
Not looking likely. Yeah.
is pretty unlikely. Boy, I tell you, wouldn't it suck if Seattle choked this away?
They got games in hand, man. They really
I
shouldn't.
understand. Like they would have it would take a lot.
Yep.
And neither Winnipeg, Calgary, like none of those teams are playing well enough to
To
feel
really
like
threaten it. Yeah.
well to have confidence that they could usurp that position, but
Sure.
it would really suck because like Seattle was neck and neck with LA, Vegas, Edmonton like most of this season. And it would really suck if they just ran out of gas at the end because I'm excited for them to get in.
Yeah.
I'm
It's always fun to see the new
selfishly,
kid on the block for sure.
a little selfishly here, I'm kind of excited for them to be one of those wild card teams because if the Avs win that Central Division,
And you get playoff Philip Grubauer to dunk on.
not just playoff Philip Grubauer, but the Avs get the Kraken, and I think that's a good first round series.
Yep.
That's would be a good series. It would be a tough test. It would be fun, and the Avs would probably win in 5 games.
Yeah.
And the reason for my confidence in that is that Seattle's exposure to the Avalanche this year has been one
A
game
decimated injury
right at the
team.
start of the year where they were or in I think November where their lineup was like unrecognizable.
Yep.
And then the other 2 games are the Avs on Sega Babas while Seattle's not.
Yep.
And so I think it would be fun to
To
see
full power Avs versus that team.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like a full power Avs going head to head against Grubauer in the postseason or Martin Jones in the postseason. Either way, that's a guy that they would like some revenge on. Gruby for throwing away the Vegas series the way that he did, and Martin Jones for the San Jose series a few years ago.
Well,
That would be
and
fun for me.
I'm here for it. It is worth noting. You kind of mentioned it there with the Pacific Division specifically playing inter-conference and interdivisional games. Part of the reason the Pacific might look so good is, they get a lot of games against San Jose, against Anaheim, against Vancouver, against a Calgary team that has not been playing well.
Yeah.
Math adds up pretty quick that they're picking up some easy W's there.
Yeah, when your division has two of the bottom 4 teams, you're playing them constantly.
Yep.
It's a Sega Baba because it's the second half of a back-to-back.
Second game. That's where the
Sorry,
Sega comes in. Yeah.
I always mess that up, but yeah, it's the second game of a back-to-back.
Yep. Don't blame us. Blame the NBA.
Yeah.
All right. We just thought it was cool.
I straight up just started using it because I was like, this is the coolest phrase I've ever heard.
It's also like a very succinct way to phrase a very complicated situation.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, and like it's just very wordy to have to constantly say, oh, it's the second half of back-to-back, second half of back-to-back. It's just Sega Baba.
Yep.
Jesse can hate it all he wants, but it makes life a lot easier.
Would he rather call it back-to-back part 2?
I don't. Probably. Who knows? Anyway, yeah. So I don't think any of these teams are peaking right
Okay.
now. I think that they're all just in a really competitive environment where everybody's playing for seeding. Whereas you look at kind of the swoon that Tampa Bay has had a little bit, and
Carolina not playing their best hockey as well. Yeah.
Well, in New Jersey, same thing. 5 wins in their last 10.
Yep.
Like some of these teams are, hey, we're definitely in the playoffs. We're pretty entrenched. We may or may not be fighting for number 1 here.
Yeah.
Like you know that none of those teams out east are fighting for the top seed.
For sure. It's yeah, I mean Boston has had that locked up for months, but
right. But like Tampa Bay kind of had the swoon where they were 4 back of Toronto.
Yep.
And like now they're all of 3 back. But Toronto has games in hand and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it is interesting.
The top 6 teams in the East have been in these spots that they're in
for a while, for sure.
For weeks. So you are talking like there just hasn't been a lot of change. It's just been a lot of like, all right, we kind of know our station in life, and let's go do this thing. Carolina, New Jersey is interesting. Carolina losing Svetch for the rest of the year, and probably a pretty good portion of next year as well.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate.
Kind of opens the door for, hey, the bottom of the East is sort of fallen apart as the year has gone on. Washington and Pittsburgh have gone away.
The wrong direction. The Isles have kind of just kept clinging to that one spot. And then
it's the
somehow
Isles.
Florida has played their way back in.
And Florida has gotten hot and started scoring like crazy. The Isles, Ilya Sorokin was just like, I'm done giving up goals.
It's a good way to make the playoffs.
Like he was just like, nah, we're getting into this postseason because I'm just not gonna continue to get scored on. Sorry. And it's crazy because the Isles have had a ton of injury issues.
Yep.
In the last couple of weeks. So and Matt Barzal he's not even skating.
Yeah, that doesn't even count. Yeah, he's been out for a while.
So, they're in a fascinating position, and right now, Bo Horvat thing looks like it's totally worth, right?
I guess.
The goal was to make the playoffs. So,
well, in that regard, then yeah.
They still have to do it. Obviously, if they miss, it's a big letdown. But are we really looking at an Eastern Conference field with no Sidney Crosby and no Alex Ovechkin?
If the Avs beat Pittsburgh tomorrow, it would certainly trend that way.
I mean, it is anyway. They've lost 4 in a row.
I hear you, but they're still certainly within striking distance of Florida and New York.
Yeah, they're in it. Games like the math is all still there for them. It's all still very possible, but they've got to play a lot better than they have.
Oh, for sure.
It's that time
No
of year, man, where every night there's good games to watch.
It is. We were talking before the show, like it's actually scoreboard watching time around the league.
Yeah.
You look at these
I've never
games
liked
and they're all interesting.
The scoreboard watching when you're at like game 50, 60, where you're just like, there are still like these teams still have 40 points available to them. Like so much can still happen over the next few weeks. Like it's still a little early. Once you start to get into the last 12 games of the season,
20-ish points left, and it's like,
yeah,
all right.
Exactly. Where you're like, so let's use the Avs as an example. They have 13 games left.
Yep.
All right, they've got 26 points left. Let's just assume they do something crazy and they win all. That's a 114 point season max for them right now.
Yep.
They have a 114 point season. That's as good as it can get for them right now.
Yep.
How many do they need to finish to win the Central Division?
20 of them.
Well, how many points do they? How many points is the Central Division leader going to need at the end of the year? 105, 106.
Yeah, I'll say 18 would get them to 106. So they
because
gotta,
when we came out of the All-Star break and we started talking about 25 wins, that number was all about getting them to 107 points.
So literally right in that range.
So, and okay, so let's say A Wolf says 109. All right.
So that'd be
13 games
points.
left.
Yep.
That is
10, 2, and 1.
Schedule is such that you could totally see that.
It's not impossible.
But that's an extended stretch. Does 109 win you the West?
I think 109 wins you the West.
Because Vegas at 92 right now with 12 to go.
Yep. So their max would be 122. Oh, yeah, sorry. I thought they were at 102 for some reason. My bad. Yeah. I think 109 would win Colorado to the West if they beat LA. That game specifically.
Yeah, turning into an important one.
Yeah. And then other obviously have to beat Dallas
in regulation.
Yep. Realistically have to beat Minnesota too.
Oh, so okay. So you just have to win those games and then all the other ones against the bad teams.
Sure, but like you're throwing 2 losses and an overtime loss in there. I'm saying it can't be those 3 games. Those 3 games have to be the wins.
You really don't want to lose to the bad teams, so maybe your losses can be Winnipeg and Nashville at the end of the year.
Yeah, you could even throw that Oilers game in there too if you want 3 of them.
Yeah, I mean the Oilers are tied with the Avs in points right now.
I just have no faith in that team to drag it across the finish line.
I just don't know how to feel about them, man.
Yeah. Is what it is.
Yeah.
I'm excited to just speed run the rest of this season. Let's get to the playoffs already.
This is the exciting part of the year, though. Like we've gone through all the muck and grind and all the you got to be patient, guys. And we've gone through it's early. We've gone through all right. They need to start winning some games. They need to put themselves in a position to strike. Okay, they're there. Like this is do or die time now. You've run out of everybody has run out of the runway. The rest of the West had an opportunity to put Colorado down and couldn't do it. Didn't do it. They had an opportunity to put some separation. I mean, we're talking 112 point season, a very good year, but not a historically great season or anything. Not an unbelievable season. 112 point year would have won you the West comfortably. None of these teams look like they're likely to push that.
Well, You know what they say at the end of the runway, right? When you're a pilot,
No.
they say rotate,
Okay.
and it's time for the Avs to start rotating their Johnsons. The math adds up. Any final thoughts here, AJ, before we get out of here for the day?
I just echoing your very excited for the stretch run. It's
What's
gonna be
to
great.
come? Yeah.
Yeah. It's gonna be great. A lot of I mean, Minnesota's in New Jersey tonight. Uh Seattle is in Dallas tonight. Those are important games for all four of those teams. Care about that game. Care about those
True.
games that they're in. So I
Well,
mean, Minnesota can seriously continue to win without Kirill Kaprizov the way that they have? It's been incredible to watch. They lose
can they?
Kirill Kaprizov. It took flight.
I, I mean, I don't think it's sustainable for them, but
Doesn't need to be, right?
you're not wrong. It just has to be good right now.
Yeah. If they could, I mean, if they could get 2 full weeks of wins without Kirill Kaprizov, that's half the time he was out.
Yep. I, and that's why you play the games, because stuff
Yeah.
like that happens.
Yeah.
Uh,
So can Minnesota continue to hang tough? Because I tell you what, dude, if you're the Avs, say you win that Central Division, you finish really strong, you win the Central Division, you get Seattle in the first round instead of a white hot Minnesota with a healthy Kaprizov.
protecting yourself a little bit there for sure.
Man,
You take those. You definitely would take those. I mean, are the Avs relying on McKinnon too much? Kaprizov is just that caliber of player where he just goes out there and does it to me, regardless of relying on him or not.
yeah, and I don't even think Nyquist has gotten healthy yet. Klingberg has been fine for them. Oscar Sundquist has been fine for them. Mojo's been fine for them. Like, I think they had a solid deadline, given their constraints.
I mean, the question for them is always going to be, oh, it's okay. I caught the sneeze. We're good. The question for them is always going to be, can Marc-Andre Fleury continue to hold on to it, or is he going to
Or
struggle
Philip
on any
Gustafson.
given night? Yeah, it's fair. Gustafson too. All right. On that note, we're going to get out of here. We appreciate all y'all hanging out with us on this off day. We are back tomorrow covering the Avs game, the whole 9 yards as usual. You guys know how it goes. Hopefully, y'all tune in for that. We appreciate you, and we will talk to you on the next one.